I'm Samantha Arick here with Brian Dunseth ahead of RSL's home opener. They'll be hosting the Vancouver Whitecaps right here on Saturday. Dunny, they bring some flair. It's exciting every time they're here at the Riot. What is it about this team under head coach Mike Pecky the last 2 years that just makes it so tough for any opponent that comes in here to get any sort of result against Real Salt Lake?
I think it starts with the fan base. I think this is an underrated fan base with regards to how it's viewed nationally. I also think that there's an understanding with this team that when they step on the field, they're going to play a certain way, and that certain way is going to represent Mike Pecky in the way that he manages his group. I also think that with the emphasis on understanding that it is the Wild West in the Western Conference, that the importance of not just the 3 points, but the style and the substance within the 3 points, actually showing all the positive traits that this team has: possession, keeping it on the deck, bringing multiple players through, death by possession at times, and the excitement of how quickly this team can break out with numbers going forward while still kind of stout defensive presence. So I think all of that combined with kind of the mantra of how Mike wants to play, I think it's pretty evident on game day here at Rio Tinto Stadium what this team is about and what they try to accomplish throughout the course of 90 minutes.
The other side of the bench or the field this weekend, Marc Dos Santos, his first year as managing the Vancouver Whitecaps. We don't have a huge sample size. They've only played one MLS game, their home opener, a 3-2 loss to Minnesota. Dunny, what have you seen from them so far?
It's a team that had 21 guys go out the door, 15 come in. At times, I think you can see the basis of an understanding of how dangerous they can be, but yet at the same time recognizing that it is going to be a work in progress. But like we talked about a little bit earlier, this is a team that I think sooner rather than later is going to start putting it together, because with that offensive flair and really truly the understanding of not just the language, but the body language. For those that don't know Marc Dos Santos, a USL winner, an NASL winner, time on the bench alongside Bob Bradley at LAFC last season, and the way that he wants to play, if he continues in a 4-2-3-1, it's going to be pragmatic, it's going to be possession-based, and it's going to be very, very dynamic in the way they transition.
I know it's early, but if you had to say the biggest difference between his style and Carl Robinson, their last manager, is there one thing that stands out?
I think it might be personnel. And I think that Carl did a fantastic job with what he built over the years. But for one reason or another, kind of the constant carousel of players coming in and coming out maybe kind of destabilized the progress of what they were building towards. To see Vancouver shuttle so many players out the door was a bit surprising to me. It caught me off guard because I did think they had a really good core. But when they decided to go in the opposite direction, they threw everything behind Marc Dos Santos, and they shepherded away some really big players, really dynamic players. So this is obviously being built in Marc Dos Santos' eyes, and how he continues in this roster. I think not only in the short term has he added some really competent players and some fun players to watch, but I think they will also set themselves up for the summer transfer window to make some major impacts.
Saturday, is there a matchup on the field you are most looking forward to seeing?
I would say how the two center backs, Nedum and Marcelo, deal with Freddie Montero, and Freddie Montero coming back to Major League Soccer one more time. But I would also say Everton and Kyle showed an industrial approach that showed the physicality along with some of the caviar football, the way that they could win the ball, kind of play themselves out of pressure, kind of thrust forward with possession, and break through the lines. So like I always say, I think the battle's won in the midfield third. I think that's where you establish yourself. But how can you deal with another very good striker, much like Mauro Manotas? And could we continue to see maybe the evolution of Sam Johnson work his way into the lineup for more significant minutes, or dare I say even the starting 11? Because I think the team looked different than it had, because quite frankly, we haven't had a guy with that much speed, that type of intelligence to stretch the field in the short amount that we saw Sam on the field in Houston.
Well, we'll have to see how it all plays out this Saturday, March 9th, RSL's home opener. We'll both be there, but if you can't join us at the stadium, be sure to watch on KMYU or the KSL TV app. pregame show at 3:30, and then kickoff is at 4 p.m.